I thought I do this. I ate all.
Right, day 10 of the Believathon readathon. We are a third of the way through, and I think I'm on my 6th book? 5th book? God knows. Today is Sunday, and Sundays are for walking to Nero with my munchkin.
With some aeroplane toys.
Getting a vegan toasty, and sitting in the warm cafe and reading a book. I may be slightly hungover. I will just admit that to you now. I think that's going to affect my reading for today. But hopefully my coffee and my toasty will sort me right out to prepare me for a day full of reading. Love this. Okay, so today's reading project is A Proud Taste of Scarlet and Miniver by E.L. Konigsberg. So this one meets the category for like something to do with a book in the past or something. And it's about Eleanor of Aquitaine has gone to heaven, and now she's got to have various conversations with people. I don't really know anything about it. It's a national book award finalist, so those tend to be really good books actually. So hopefully it will be good. I read another of E.L. Konigsberg's books when I was a kid with my mom, about where these two kids run away and go and live in the museum secretly. So that has been a dream of mine since I read that book. I'd love to live in a museum secretly. I hope that this one's good.
I don't know why she's happy.
Ooh, I love maps and stuff like this. Wait. Squee! Okay, so far, Eleanor is in heaven with her, with the mother of her second husband, Mathilde, and this abbot who was really close with her first husband, King Louis. And they're talking about how it's her second husband's judgment day, where it's decided if he gets into heaven. And then they sort of launch into sort of talking and telling stories about Eleanor of Aquitaine when she was young. So I think in the end, this is going to end up just being sort of like a cute biography of Eleanor of Aquitaine. Like, I'm not sure, but if that's it, awesome, I'm down. They're talking about this vase, this like crystal vase that Eleanor of Aquitaine gave to King Louis, and which King Louis gave to the abbot after he decided that he was going to be pious again and not like cut people's hands off or kill people while they were like hiding in churches and stuff. And it's actually still in the Louvre, and I've just googled it and it's awesome, and I went to the Louvre and I don't know why I missed this, but how freaking cool. It's super old and it's like passed between amazing hands, like really great people. So I love googling things when I find them in books, so that's a plus. This book is on about like how everyone who gets into heaven, they only get in after they've like paid their hell. Like when you say like they've got hell to pay or whatever, like they have to pay like the bad things they've done. They have to pay them off in hell before they can come into heaven. So like people only show up in heaven like sort of like hundreds of years sometimes after they've died because they were required to sit that time in hell. So this book sort of takes place in the 20th century somewhere, but obviously Henry II died in like the 12th century. So basically him coming into heaven now means he spent like the last, what, 800 years or so paying off his hell. Okay, so far I'm really loving this book sort of just alone on all of the things that I can Google while I'm reading it. Like, if anyone's watched my videos before, like, I say this all the time. Like, if it makes me have to look it up and then fall down a rabbit hole of Wikipedia-ness, like, I am fully for that journey. So right now, the Abbot Sugar, I don't want it to sound like Lord Sugar, but he's talking about the church that he like helped to design the additions for. Like it was a church from like 400, but he did sort of extensions to it and stuff, and it became like what he called a modern style, but which has now become the sort of Gothic style. Is sort of one of the first Gothic cathedrals or whatever. And I've just googled it and it looks awesome. Y'all, I have not gotten very far in this book. I'm still only on page 64. Like, I'm not even halfway. When I first started reading this book today, I was like, I'm gonna be doing this basically all day, you know? I'm probably just gonna finish this whole book, but I did not realize what amazing Wikipedia adventures were before me, okay? I just fell down a whole internet rabbit hole to do with the Second Crusade. Like, uncooler things have rarely been said, to be totally honest, but I'm just gonna own that. Basically, King Louis VII, the 12th century Louis, I know there's about like 84,000 million Louis. This is a 12th century French Louis, and he's married to Eleanor of Aquitaine. And he goes on the Second Crusade, which is to do with getting back the sort of state of Edessa, you know, like when they did the Crusades and they set up all these like mini kingdoms or whatever, in order to make it safe for people from Europe to get to the Holy Land, you know, Jerusalem and such, like Antioch, you know, and Edessa. So, Edessa fell. And Eleanor's uncle is like the king guy or like duke guy or whatever of Antioch. So they go overland, you know, through Constantinople, which Eleanor of Aquitaine absolutely loved and which her husband was like really uncomfortable by because he likes to be holy and plain and stuff, and he wasn't comfortable there. But she like super likes the high life. She's like, oh, all the feasts, all the jewels, all the silk, all like the amazing new foods and new people and new stuff. And he's just like, humbug. But they go to Antioch to be sort of received by Eleanor of Aquitaine's uncle. And they have like a really good time there. She has a really good time and he doesn't have any good time at all. Anyway, instead of spending all the time reading this book, I've instead just learned an absolute shit ton about the Second Crusade, which was fun as hell. I love this book just for that, to be honest.
Can you taste it?
The book, or the story, is now being told by Eleanor of Aquitaine's mother-in-law, or her second mother-in-law, the mother of her second husband, King Henry II of England. And she was also the granddaughter of William the Conqueror. So she's like also super feisty, and she's telling about how it is that Eleanor came to be married to her son instead of her original husband of Louis. They got their marriage annulled, basically, and then like 2 months later, Eleanor married King Henry. So now I've fallen down a really long Wikipedia rabbit hole to do with the Plantagenet family, which is super interesting. Like, the Plantagenet house wasn't called the Plantagenet house until like 250 years after the beginning of it. So like the first Plantagenet king apparently used to like wear like a plant like on his head or like in his lapel or something like this, called like Plantus genetus or something, and it became his like nickname, Plantagenet. And then like 250 years later is like the first occurrence of the name actually being used as like a surname for one of the kings of the line, which is super weird. Like, all in all, Eleanor of Aquitaine is not coming across very well, and I can see why it is that the author felt she needed to pay 200 years back in hell. But, like, I'm really enjoying this book, mainly because it sort of talks about history in a way that's, like obviously for kids, like... If that's how I need to learn history, that's how I need to learn history. Like, I will not take any judgment from you. But like, I obviously learned loads of the stuff in school already, you know, but not to like the same kind of detail, not focusing on like the human aspect of it. There's a lot of like dates and battles and, you know, house names and like territory names and maps and stuff, but not a lot of talking about how the people may have felt or why they would have done what they did, you know. And I really like, that's the kind of thing in a story that I love most, which is missing from quite a lot of sort of bald historical accounts of things. We're lost and probably surrounded by all manner of weird creatures. And she says, kind of cool, huh? But then, crunch, look at that, it's a big foot. And they're scared, look. Crunch, he steps in the snow.
Does he went down already?
Well, I don't know, I guess not, because he's reading a map, isn't he?
Make a map for me.
A map for you of what?
So I can see where the treasure is.
Well, there's already a map in here that shows where everything in the Hildeland is. You know?
Oh yeah, this book is a map.
Okay, I finished this one. A Proud Taste for Scarlet and Miniver. I think the title is to do with like the difference between the people in the book who are really for like fine things and like finery and silk and, you know, pomp and circumstance and stuff, versus the ones who are really against it, you know. I had an amazing time reading this book. I really liked sort of, I don't know, a sort of more human, like focused telling of the history from this time and sort of the royalty involved. But like when I think about it fully, I think most of the enjoyment that I had from the book was just things that it prompted me to Google. And I could have just Googled that stuff on my own time. Like I wouldn't have done, because, you know, ain't nobody got time for that. But I think the actual story itself was maybe a bit boring. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, you know, like some of the stuff was really interesting, but also because I don't know a whole hell of a lot about Eleanor of Aquitaine, really, I don't know what stuff the author invented about her and what stuff actually happened. Like, it sounds like she launched King Arthur as a legend. So Geoffrey of Monmouth or whatever sort of wrote about it and sort of took it from old like Welsh texts and Cornish texts, I guess. And then the book sort of says Eleanor of Aquitaine is the one who took it from Geoffrey of Monmouth and sort of sent it around to troubadours and sort of the country's poets and musicians and made it into an actual thing instead of just being sort of a book. And I'm not sure that that is true, but I don't know for certain. If it's true, then that's super interesting. Anyway, like, I don't know how many stars to give this right now. Like, I just finished it. I'm still having like a bit of a think about it. I read it quickly and I enjoyed it. So I sort of feel like it should be 4 stars and not 3. Because I tend to only give 3 stars to books that, you know, they weren't painful to get through, but I didn't really love them, you know, whereas 4 stars, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's quite good. So if I did like a half-star system, I might give this like a 3.5, you know. I think probably, I don't know, I think probably on Goodreads I'm going to give it a 3. It was a bit boring. And a bit sort of just like went on and on and on for ages. So, I don't know, I did enjoy it. Life is hard. Anyway, so that was my book to do with being set in the past. Feel like every day is a school day. I learned absolutely loads today from this book. I'm moving on now to The House with the Clock in Its Walls. Look how cool this cover is. Like, can you see properly? Oh my god, it is so late at night and my light is balls. So basically this book is going to serve in Believathon land as the book to do with like something creepy, like a creepy book. Other than that, I know literally nothing about it. I know that it was made into a movie very recently and that movie is now on Amazon Prime for free. So that will be happening probably very promptly following me finishing this book. But other than that, I got nothing. I'd never heard of it before seeing the sort of trailer for it in the movie theater. When I Googled it, sort of looking up sort of where to find it and various stuff, it is actually a really old book, like from the 70s, and loads of people know it really well, and it's a bit of like a modern classic for kids. But, yeah, I got nothing. It's an orphan kid, goes to live with his uncle, something about a wizard. We shall see. Oh my god, there's like all these army guys or like military guys in town today. Like, I don't know what they're doing or like what they're here for. I do feel like I really have a thing for army guys and for like military guys. Like, weirdly and like annoyingly, I think it's probably like some sort of daddy complex because my dad was in the army or like whatever. But I'm totally into it. And I saw them all and they've all been around like the university campus. So I'm like, oh, well, is it like university related? Are they all students? And it's like, well, that's fine, right? Like, they're 18. I can still fancy them, even though, like, they're about 15 years younger than me. Like, I look young, right? I feel young. And, like, also, I was out with, like, some friends, like, having coffee one time, and we started talking about something to do with what we would put in, like, a smutty novel if it was just, like, about our normal lives, you know? And I was like, oh, I reckon, you know, I could do it. And I was sort of just started like writing it off the top of my head, like doing a sort of synopsis slash like, you know, first chapters run through, just sort of off the cuff, just saying it out loud to them. And they were like, shit, yeah, that's really good. Like, I would totally read that. And I was even shocked. I was like, actually, yeah, this is like coming out really good. I should write this stuff down. Like, it's probably lost now, but at the time I was on fire. And it was about like army officers at the Maindee barracks in Cardiff. Like, I have to sort of go roughly by there when I go between like work or my house and like getting my kid and stuff like that. I pass by there and I see them outside every once in a while. And like, you know, yeah, I could write some sort of like smutty novel about them. Like, they inspire me. Also, sometimes they have like a goat mascot outside. I love a good goat mascot me. Like, I want a goat. Does anyone have a goat? Can I touch it? Can I like play with it and like name it and stuff? Because that would change my life, to be totally honest. Okay, I'm home on my lunch break and I'm getting through House with a Clock in Its Walls. I'm roughly somewhere in chapter 2, like midway through. Anyway, chapter 2. And it's really good. Oh shoot, I think I just messed up my nail. Ugh! That's so annoying. I did. But it's really cute. I like it. Like, I know it's supposed to be creepy, but it's not so creepy. It's just cute. I mean, it's for kids, but Coraline was also for kids, and that scared the absolute crap out of me. But this one's really good. I like it. Like, as a little kid, he's an orphan. His parents have died in, like, a car accident or something, and he's come to live with his Uncle Jonathan in this new town, in, like, an old mansion house. And when he gets there, first of all, there's already an old woman there. She's the neighbor. And the kid and the uncle and the neighbor play cards all night. They play like poker or whatever. And the kid keeps winning and he keeps thinking, did that card just change so that I would win? Like, I thought this was a bad hand and I'm pretty sure that card just changed, but of course that's ridiculous. And he sees that the cards are like have an imprint on them from like the Magic Society or something like that. And the uncle and the old neighbor are really nice and friendly and hilarious, and he loves them and he feels really at home with them, but they're acting very strangely. They do some like weird stuff and they keep acting weird toward like the clocks in the house. They all go off at a time and they're really silent and they like listen for things. And when they first saw the woman, she was like listening at the wall for something. And when the kid went to bed the first night, he sort of heard someone walking around in the corridor and sort of stuck his head out, and his uncle had a flashlight out there and he was like banging on the walls or like searching for something. And the kid has no idea what's going on with that. Like, it's something fishy to do with the house and the clocks, but he doesn't know what it is yet. Or maybe I can finish it today because it is really small. So I have to go to work now. Ugh, selfish. But like, after work, I don't have anything else for today. Like, I don't have Welsh class or anything like that. so I can just read for the rest of the night, and I reckon if I am diligent, I can get through this baba. Anyway, back to work with a messed up nail, because I tried to paint them, and now, of course, I've messed it up, as I always do.
We are going back home.
We only got 9 minutes left for the cemetery closing, and that guy's gonna come out and lock us in again. What do you think?
Is he gonna let us? Is he gonna get the gate open again so we can come out?
Well, the gate's open right now, but only for the next 9 minutes. If we don't make it to the end, for the end of 9 minutes, he's gonna lock us in like that last time. Remember, that was scary, huh?
And I was crying.
I know, he's not messing around, that man. He's like, get out for the time or you're gonna spend the night here.
We're up at the butt crack of dawn, in the butt crack of winter. Check out Nero. When I put Anwen down for sleeping last night and read her a book in her cozy bed at roughly 8 o'clock, I also just went to bed. Like, winter is just horrible. It's dark, it's cold, it's wet. Bedtime at 8 o'clock is just the best plan of action in this case. Anyway, because of that, I'm still not even halfway through this book. Read this book. Okay, we'll read it now. I'm still not even halfway through this book. And like, I'm not even sorry. I'm not ashamed that I went to bed at 8 o'clock and didn't meet any of my Believathon goals, okay? Because sometimes winter goals are just to check out of winter, okay? To just leave winter behind. He came down from his room at 10 o'clock and went next door to have cider and donuts. He found Jonathan and Mrs. Zimmerman waiting for him in the dining room. Okay, I'm home on my lunch break and I've read quite a bit of this, and now I'm on page 94, which is officially past the halfway mark, but only just. So I desperately need to finish this today in order to stay on track. Like, I was way ahead. I was like blowing through things and I was like, I got so much time, I can just slack it off a bit. And then I did, and then I overslacked. Now I'm gonna be behind if I don't finish it by the end of the day, and I have a crazy amount of stuff to do. Like, work has been cray. There's no time to do anything except read and do work there. Also, I have my Welsh class tonight, and I didn't go to Welsh class last week because it was bonfire night. So all of the homework that I didn't do for my Welsh class, because I was like, I have plenty of time. I didn't have plenty of time. I did not do that, and now I have to do it now. So I have to take my kid to the pub because I promised. So pub, homework, Welsh class, sleeping. There's not a lot of time left for reading of the book. I'm not worried though. I feel like this is fine. I will just get to it eventually. Like, you know that show, like, in the 90s, with, like, Drew Carey, and everyone did, like, acting. I can't think of the name of it now, but, like, where he said, where something, 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 and the points don't matter. So, and then he, like, throws the cards. Like, everyone's playing this game, but actually all points awarded are completely meaningless. And, like, there is no winner and whatever. I feel like Believathon is like that. Like, I've made all these, like, goals for myself to make sure that I get through it for a time, but it's all just meaningless, isn't it? Anyway, I'm really, really liking this book. It's really good. It's cute. It's not particularly creepy. It's sort of got, like, a creepy feel about it, but it's not, like, scary like Coraline was scary. I like the story and I'm interested in it, and I, like, want to know what happens. So that's another annoying thing about not being able to read this book. Like, not only do I want to get through it, like, for Believathon purposes, but also I really want to know what happens in the end. So this kid, this orphan kid, he's gone to school now, but he's chubby and he's a bit weird, so he doesn't have any friends. But finally, he does get a friend. He gets a friend who's really cool. Everyone likes him. He's super popular. Everyone knows him. And he helps him to play baseball better. But then he's like, oh, I like this friend so much. I really want to, like, do something cool for him. And I want him to think I'm cool. So he invites his friend over to show him what his uncle can do, like, magic-wise. And the kid's like, oh, I don't believe you. That's stupid, blah, blah. They go to the uncle's house, and the uncle basically does a trick where he, like, eclipses the moon. And this kid, that's his friend, didn't believe that he was going to be able to do it, and finally he did it. And then after that, he's like a bit weird. He's like, sorry, I said your uncle couldn't do it, and he was acting weird, and he left acting really weird as well. And then like later he stopped sort of coming to the baseball things. He's sort of like less and less interested in the orphan kid as a friend. And he sort of says, oh, well, my dad said you probably just did an illusion. And the orphan kid's like, but I told you not to tell anyone. He was like, oh, sorry. But basically, he's losing this friend now. And you think it's because, oh, baseball season is over, blah, blah, blah. But it seems like it's to do with the trick. Like, he wanted to see the trick. But now that he was proved that the trick actually can happen, he's, like, weird about it. So then, the orphan kid, like, wants to try to keep his friend. He's like, I'm losing my friend. He's my only friend. I gotta try to do something to keep him. And he's like, I'm gonna raise the dead. It just sort of came out. He knows he can't raise the dead. He knows his uncle can't raise the dead. But he's like, I just gotta think of something really good. And, the friend is like, I don't believe you again. Like, the friend is actually super mean now. Like, only a kid who has no other friends would allow for this kind of friend to happen, you know? Like, anyone who has, like, the choice of friends would be like, actually, you're super mean to me, so let's not hang out anymore. Because this poor, like, orphan kid is so desperate. He's like, oh, he's being mean to me, so I gotta, you know, try to do something better. I gotta be a better friend so that he'll be nice to me, blah, blah. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna raise the dead. So he goes into the uncle's library to, like, learn how to raise the dead. He goes into, like, all of the books that aren't allowed. You know, what's it like in Harry Potter, the forbidden section or whatever? Oh, everything in life can be related back to Harry Potter. Basically, he shows up at the required time on Halloween at the graveyard where his friend is meeting him. And he sort of sets out this thing, according to the book, to raise the dead in front of this tomb with a big O on it. And they don't know who's in the tomb. It just says O. He's like, oh, it's O something. So in the space, like, he's laid out the thing. And, like, in the space, he's supposed to, like, write the name, but he doesn't know the name. So he just sort of thinks and thinks. And he's like, maybe Selena? He doesn't know anyone named Selena. He just, like, comes to him. He's like, I'll just write that. He just puts it down. And then there's, like, a rumbling from inside the, like, mausoleum. And the door, like, bursts open. And there's, like, these bright lights or whatever. And they just run for their lives. And sort of when they get down the hill and out of the graveyard, the kid, like, the mean kid, is like, that didn't happen, blah, blah. The orphan's like, we just saw it. I can't believe that you're trying to pretend like it didn't happen, you know. But there's something up with this mean kid. He, like, can't cope with being like, no, that's not gonna happen, and then being proved that actually it does happen. Like, I don't know if he doesn't like being proved wrong, or if he just feels weird about magic or whatever. Like, anyway, he shows up the next morning at the breakfast table with his uncle and the neighbor, and he's reading the paper, and it says, oh, desecration, like tomb desecration last night. And he's talking, he's like, oh, what do you know about this tomb desecration then? And the uncle's like, well, it's definitely the so-and-so Izzard guy, like the guy who owned the house that they live in now that has, like, the scary clock in the walls. And the kid is like, oh crap, you know, like, why doesn't it say his name on the tomb? Like, oh, just, you know, off chance, I'm pretty sure it doesn't say his name on his tomb. And the uncle's like, well, of course it doesn't, you know. He had the family name ticked off when he buried his wife there. And he had an omega put on it because it's, like, the symbol for the end of the world or whatever. And the kid's like, oh, good to know. But, super, 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 super annoyingly, I gotta go now. So, dun dun dun, you've opened a tomb that's marked with the end of the world. Now it's time to go back to work and, like, process some papers. Guys, that's some bullshit.
Orange hands. Or do they have orange hands?
Okay, there's just been a terrifying high-speed chase to do with something evil because it wasn't allowed to go over a bridge, and the uncle just explained it can't go over the bridge because evil things can't cross water. So that was terrifying. I'm gripped. Also, when they got home, they found that their house had been burgled. Someone was looking for something, and they finally found it, and it's left a rust spot where it was before, and it was a clock key. Dun dun dun. I have to go now, which is annoying. Sometimes the air in certain rooms seemed to shimmer as if the house was going to disappear in the next second. Sometimes the stained glass windows showed dark and terrifying scenes, and sometimes Lewis saw in the corners of the rooms those awful sights that nervous people always imagine are lurking just outside the borders of their eyesight. Now I'm scared. Or should I take everything back that I said about it being cute and not creepy? I'm the only one awake in the house right now. And I'm terrified. A spatter of rain hit the window. Lewis jumped. Outside he could see thick masses of blue clouds piled up in the west. Through them ran a jagged red streak. It looked to Lewis like a hungry mouth. As he watched, the mouth opened and a ray of blood-red light shot into the room. It lit up the page he was holding. On this page were scrawled these words: "Doomsday not come yet. I'll draw it nearer by a perspective, or make a clock that shall set all the world on fire upon an instant." Lewis felt very frightened. Well, yes. I just finished The House with the Clock in the Walls by John Bellers, and it was amazing. I really liked it. Like, it ended really well. Like, it had like proper climax. Loads of times in these kid books you get like, you know, I don't know, I always think of it as like a Deus Ex Machina effect, where like one thing sort of swoops in and just ends everything and saves everyone. But like there was another channel that I was watching recently. I'll link it down below and I'll put her somewhere on here, where she called it the Sandlot ending or something like that. You know, like how the Sandlot movie ends. It just sort of suddenly ends really happily. Sort of someone sweeps in and suddenly everything is fine and everyone is happy. But this one, like, it ended happy and the people in the house who were cool, you know, won out in the end and saved the world. But it had like, you know, a proper sort of going through the path of getting there, and then anyway, it was just really good. And the little kid, like the fat little kid with no friends, like, he was really brave, and he sort of found out that the Tarby kid, like the friend that he did all this stuff to try to keep, who was really mean to him, basically that kid is just a coward. He was afraid of everything, and that's why he was so mean to him. He was just terrified and always had all these nightmares and everything about the stuff that he did with Lewis, the orphan kid. But Lewis was really brave, and he sort of went about fighting back against the house and sort of finding out everything about the house in a really sort of like courageous way that I never would have been able to do, because I would have been terrified. Like, I was terrified just reading about it. Anyway, I really liked it. That's the end of my 7th book, I think, for Believathon, and that's the one to do with like a creepy book. The next one I'm gonna read is either going to be 101 Dalmatians, to do with Disney Day, because I think like Believathon Disney Day is tomorrow. Or I'm gonna hold off on that one until Christmas weekend, because it's both Disney and Christmas, isn't it? And then if I do that, I'll probably read The Last Unicorn from now. But I don't need to decide until tomorrow, because it is super late tonight and I just need to go to bed. But like, I was super tired, sort of like trying to read the end of it, but now that it's ended in a really good way and it was such a good story, I'm like amped again, so maybe I will read a bit of something. I don't know. Anyway, that wraps this one up. So if you read either of these ones and you really liked them, or you didn't like them, or whatever, let me know. If you want to read them, or if you thought, oh, I won't read those, or if you've never heard of them, anything. Any comments at all about these books or about Believathon or anything, please put it in the comments. I'm 100% happy and a half to have a convo about any of it. Okay, good night, good night.